Okay, welcome back to the Lightroom tutorials. This is the second video tutorial, and in the first video tutorial we learned how to use the gradient filter, the gradiated filter there to enhance the sky, and we also used the crop tool to crop the picture to the size that we wanted. And what we're going to have a look at in this little video is the adjustment brush. Very powerful tool, the adjustment brush. What it allows you to do is to alter different settings over different areas of the picture, such as the exposure, the brightness, contrast, saturation, and things like that. So we're actually going to select the tool. So we click there on the tool to select it, and you can see the sliders there. So I'm just going to double click these, make sure that's it. They're all at the standard setting, all on 0 at the moment. And basically the way you use this tool, you put the mouse on the screen, you can see there the size of the brush. We've got a brush there which we can alter the size. We've got the size there, and the feather. The feather's on quite large at the moment. The feather's nice, it just feathers the edge of the brush, so it gives a nice soft edge to the brush. The flow of the brush, exactly that, just how strong the effect is you want it. I've got that at 100% at the moment. And the density. So these are the usual settings. I do like to drag the feather up fairly high. Okay, so we've got the size. We can alter the size, I say, by using this slider. And the first thing I'm going to get the size smallish there. I'm going to take the exposure up slightly. And remember, we can alter this later on. It works exactly the same way as the gradiated filter that we used, where we can alter things after we've actually done them. So I'm dragging the exposure up. You could use the other settings as well if you wanted to add more clarity, more sharpness, saturation. All those are there and they can be altered at any time. We're just looking at the exposure. So I'm going to drag and paint this tower there, just to bring up the exposure on the two areas of the tower. And this is where we've gone over with the gradiated filter, and we just darken those as we've done that. The tree, we'll do the same. So I'm just going to go over the tree. In some areas, you can see that it's emphasizing, making that lighter. There you go. So that's looking okay. I'm happy with that. So that's my first one. If we went wrong, I'll just go wrong in the sky there. So I've gone wrong and I've got an area there that I don't want. If we go down to the brushes there, you see you've got two brushes. You've got an A brush and a B brush, which use different effects, and also the erase. So if I go to erase, and I make sure that this pinhead there, that's showing me the selection we've got there. If I put the mouse over, you can see the selection. We make sure that that's the one that we want, because we could have more than one pinhead when we've gone over the picture. So that is the area I want to delete, and I can just brush that out and put that right. So that's corrected that area. So you can use the erase, and then I could switch back to brush A and do another part of the picture. What I actually want to do this time though is to create a new adjustment brush area. And the reason for that is then I've got control over the two different points. So I'm going to use a larger brush this time. I'm going to drag the size up quite large, and I'm going to emphasize, I'm going to use the same exposure on that. I'm going to emphasize this area along here. We'll take this exposure down slightly. See the feather, what the feather does there, it feathers out the effect slightly on the edge. That's why I've got the feather up quite high on this. And I'm going to drag the exposure down slightly. So that's just about what I want. I just want to create an effect of that, just to give it more of a 3D effect, more depth. And then I'll create another new one. So we go to new again. So we click new. And this time I'm doing the opposite. I'm going to take the exposure down, and I'm going to paint over this area. Make this darker. That's fine. And again, I'll just alter the exposure slightly. I only want that slight, just to give that bit of depth to the foreground. Yeah, that's looking nice. And I say you can use any of these sliders. You can go back to any settings. So if I wanted to alter this area, I can click back and click on the pin. That shows me the area I've got selected when I put the mouse over the pin. And that then allows me to change the exposure at any time. And you can do that for all the different pins on there. You can click and go back to those. You could add clarity to it or more saturation. You can see I'll saturate that area, make it greener, or take the saturation down. If I double click it, I'll put it back in the middle, which is where I want it. So you've got full control over all of the areas of the picture. A fantastic tool. That's the adjustment brush.